Good evening, everybody. Atma Namaste. Today we have with us Dr. Hengameh. She is from Australia. She has been doing work for the Guru for many, many years in Australia. We know her through Prana World, and she has given us her precious time so that we could have this session today. Thank you so very much, Dr. Hengameh, for joining us today. We're super grateful that you could make it.
Dr. Hengameh,
Atma Namaste. Thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor to be with everyone here. And yes, I have been spreading the teachings in Malaysia. I just moved to Australia, and hopefully we can spread the teachings here as well, just starting a center in Sydney. Thank you.
Congratulations on the new center. And we would like for you to start our session with an invocation, and then we can get along with the interview. Dr. Hengameh, could you start us off with an invocation? You're on mute.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, let's start with a short invocation. Please close your eyes. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Relax your body. Calm your mind and calm your emotions. If you feel any pain or discomfort at any area of your body, just bring your awareness to that area and mentally say, I let go. Still your body. Calm your mind. Calm your emotions. Mentally say to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our spiritual teacher, to Master Choa Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Meling, and all the great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Thank you so much for all of your priceless blessings, for your divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help and protection, inner healing and physical healing, good health and happiness, prosperity and abundance, spirituality and illumination. Thank you so much for bringing us together here for this session to learn and to grow spiritually. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly and be aware of your whole body. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. And exhale slowly. Now please put your two hands in a namaste position in front of your heart. Be aware of the presence of each and every person in the session and mentally say, Namaste. Thank you for being here. And when you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. Atma Namaste again.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Hengameh. We would like to start off our session with like something very simple for those of us who are not aware of what energy is. So what is energy?
Well, everything in the universe is energy, and everything needs energy to work, like your TV, your phone, your computer. Our body also needs energy to function. So that energy, we call it prana in Sanskrit, and which is the same word as chi in Chinese. That's why we have like qigong, ki in Japanese, we have reiki. So in pranic healing, we work a lot with prana or energy. This energy, if we have it in the body, if we have abundance of energy, in proper, like balanced way, our health will improve. We will have a better health. But if there is lack of energy, the body will get weaker and weaker and die. We receive this energy from three main sources. We know that from Pranic Healing, from Master Chakra, which is the sun, the air, and the earth. And that energy helps to keep our body healthy and alive. So in Pranic Healing, we work a lot with that energy.
Thank you so much for the fundamental understanding of energy. Our next question is, what is fear from the energy perspective?
Okay, fear actually, whenever we think of something, we create a thought form. We call it a thought entity or a thought form. Now, why they call it entity? Because this thought form is alive and it can affect us and other people. So whenever we think of anything good, positive, or negative, we are affecting ourselves, the environment, and the people around us. Now, when we create a thought form, this can affect us in different ways. First of all, it creates like a vibration around us, which affects whoever is in that vibration, in that vicinity. So, for example, if you see two people laughing in a metro or in a bus, you may start laughing without knowing what they're laughing about, because that energy, that happy energy is affecting you because you are close to those people who are laughing. And so in the same way, if a person starts having negative emotions or thoughts like fear or worry or depression, to a certain radius, it affects people around us and it affects our environment. That's why energy of the environment is also important. That's why we have sciences like Feng Shui or Vastu and things like that. And then the other way is, if the thought form is about someone particular, so the thought will go and affect them. Now, fear is such, energy. So when we experience fear, when we start creating those thought form, not only it affects us, people around us, but also the environment. It stays there and it continues affecting us. Now, fear is actually a necessity. Okay, we can't remove fear completely from our lives because it's like protecting mechanism to protect us, to protect humanity from, it's like a survival mechanism. It helps us protect us. The only time when fear is not helpful is when fear is actually based on imagination. It's unrealistic or it's repeated, it's negative, then it affects us. Otherwise, it's not advisable to remove fear completely from our lives because it's actually a necessity, but it has to be controlled.
Got it. So could you give us some examples of cases that you've healed or cases that you've heard feedback about from other healers that can help us understand this concept a little better?
Sure. And one more thing to add about fear is, if you read Teachings of Theosophy, if you read the book Thought Forms, they talk about the colors or the shapes that each thought create. So based on the clairvoyant observations, when a person creates fear thought form, we actually produce a type of energy which has it's like small stones thrown out of the aura, and it creates like a gray kind of energy in the aura. So that's why if we continue feeling fear for some time repeatedly, after a while, you may even notice that your energy goes down and you may even develop something like depression because the energy, the color of energy is like that source, So stories. Well, myself, I have even personal stories from fear. I have shared this with people like in different sessions and so on. So when I was a child, we experienced war. I'm from Persia. I'm Persian. I'm from Iran. So at that time, we had war between Iran and Iraq. And I remember as a child, I experienced, when we had to actually go down in basements, and there was like a problem that, for example, we have bombing and everybody had to actually go down and not stay in the house. So that fear, I already experienced it from childhood. And when I was growing up, I noticed that the fear was changing forms. So like I had fear, I already experienced repeated fear and fear of death. So when I was like in high school, I think, I developed this phobia of a disease. Like that time I heard in the news that cholera is becoming epidemic. So that fear that I already experienced in childhood became phobia of, again, dying, but through cholera disease. And for a person who is having fear, logic doesn't work. So I remember that I was super afraid going to the bathroom and realize I have cholera. But you see how it works. When you think about it, you should have certain, symptoms to understand, to realize that you have this disease. And then, you may realize it after going to the bathroom or so on. But that time, because I was super, because of that fear, I couldn't see clearly. The phobia was so strong that even without any symptoms, I remember that I was super terrified going to the bathroom and just realize I have, cholera and die. Now, before this, when I was growing up, I remember even having fear that, if there is a broken glass and I walk over it, the glass may go to my thumb and to my toes, and from there may go to my heart and I may die. So all of that is like fear of dying, but it just transform from the bombing to glass going to your heart and die to fear of a disease. And then as I became a teenager, it became low self-esteem. So I couldn't really talk in front of public. I had shyness until I learned pranic healing. And I realized that if I don't do anything about this fear, it's going to affect me throughout my life. So I have to actually do something about it. That is when I started to practice psychotherapy, pranic psychotherapy on myself, which is application of pranic healing, dealing with emotions and thoughts and psychological issues. And only then I started to feel, better and better and better until I could realize that there is no more fear, no more fear of dying or disease or anything. The phobia is gone. So that was one story about myself. But I remember one of the classes, psychotherapy classes, there was one lady, she had phobia of water. So she couldn't really, swim in the water because she had that fear. So after learning psychotherapy, she also told me during the class that I'm going to practice this on myself and see how it works. So I think after 1 or 2 months, we had another psychotherapy class. She came for review, and then she shared that after doing psychotherapy on herself, she actually registered for swimming class, which is really a huge, breakthrough. So I have experienced a lot of such, stories where pranic psychotherapy could help to disintegrate and remove fear and phobia from people.
Those are some really, really powerful stories. So today, I know we can't go into a lot of details about energy techniques, but are there some smaller techniques that perhaps our viewers could use to deal with fear in their day-to-day life?
Surely. So one of the fantastic techniques, again, for me is pranic psychotherapy. But to learn that, you need to learn pranic healing, advanced pranic healing, and then pranic psychotherapy. But there are other techniques where you experience fear, because I have experienced myself. I know that when we are in the midst of that emotion, even if people are try to explain logically that you don't have to be afraid, you don't have to have fear, it doesn't work, because we are so much involved in that emotion. We are so much attached to the emotion that, mental logical thinking doesn't work. So one of the first things that we could do is to detach ourselves from that emotion. So if you have fear, or it could be even stress or whatever emotion, first, to think clearly, we need to detach ourselves. That is one of the techniques we can use. And for that, there is an affirmation shared by Master Choa Sui called the I Am affirmation. It's in Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul book. It's also in The Existence of God is Self-Evident, if I'm not mistaken. So by reading that affirmation, we can actually affirm that I am not the body, I am not the emotions, I am not the thoughts, I am the soul. Repeating that affirmation helps to actually detach us from the emotion so that we can realize, okay, I am not the fear. The fear is an emotion that I am experiencing right now. And that affirmation itself allows a lot of divine energy to flow. Therefore, we can actually control our emotions better, control our thoughts, and then we can think a bit better. We can think more clearly that, okay, this is a fear. And then we can think, is this fear based on reality, or is this fear based on imagination? You know, for example, if I knew that this affirmation when I was experiencing the fear in my teenage years, I could detach and say, okay, I don't have any symptoms of the disease, so it's unlikely that I have the disease, so I could remain calm. But because I couldn't at that time, I couldn't actually detach myself, so I was experiencing the fear. Now, this is one technique, which is detaching yourself from fear. Now, another technique is energy could be transmuted. Okay, so fear is a type of energy. Now, it could be disintegrated using pranic psychotherapy, or it could be transmuted to love, to higher types of energy. And there are techniques such as meditation on twin hearts that could also help. So when we sit and when we visualize the planet Earth, when we meditate, divine energy comes down and then flush out all these lower emotions and transmute. But the effect of meditation, of course, is more what you call gradual. At that moment, the first thing that can help is to detach from the emotion, and then we can think clearly and think about the solutions and like, now what can I do? If it's based on reality, of course, we have to do something about what is making us afraid. For example, you have bought a lot of stocks and the stocks is going down. So it's based on reality. If you're afraid of losing things, of course, it's based on reality. So we have to do something, we have to sell, for example. But if it's just based on imagination, then that detaching after that, meditation or psychotherapy or other techniques could help to actually release the fear and feel more calmer.
Wow. I have a question at this point. Does this work also for repetitive fears? Like you're consistently feeling fear of the same thing. Would these kinds of techniques work also for repetitive fears?
Okay, repetitive fears. First thing is, when you are in that moment, the I am affirmation can help you detach, right? But if in general you are experiencing repetitive thoughts of phobia or fear, meditation on twin hearts or pranic psychotherapy or techniques like that could help you gradually release the fear. So with meditation is gradual. We have to do it in a regular basis. Now, regular means at least 4 times in a week. Divine energy comes down, flush the dirty energy out. So after doing it, let's say for a week, for a month, you will experience that you are not experiencing that repetitive fear anymore, or it's reduced to a very mild degree. Now, pranic psychotherapy, the technique is different. It's more direct. So if you have such a problem, you can, if you are a healer, you can do self-healing like what I did. If you are not a healer, you can always visit pranic healing centers near you. There's a lot of centers all over the world. And then you can ask a healer to actually do a healing for you. There are healing nights that usually the healing is by donation or free, so you can experience it. And then if you like it, you can actually get like a package of proper pranic psychotherapy And the technique could help to remove such thought forms and emotions from your system, release it, and replace it with positive thoughts and emotions. Now, there is another technique that we can't really go deep into, but it's called the whiteboard technique. It's part of pranic psychotherapy. And that also is fantastic technique to work with because it helps you release the thought, erase it, and then replace it with a positive thought. You know, like the mind, every thought in our mental body is stored somewhere. It's like a computer, right? Now, if you delete file or a folder from your computer, can you restore it? Yes, you can, right? But if you save another file with the same name on the computer, it makes it much more difficult to restore it. So this technique works that way because we actually remember a thought, we erase it, we replace that same thought. It's like renaming that file or folder in the mental body with another positive thought. So makes it much more difficult for the previous negative thought to come back. So whenever I think about techniques of Master Choa Sui, and I really study and try to meditate and understand, you know, how it works, it really blows my mind because they are simple, they appear to be very simple, but they are very, very deep. And they work if we actually follow the steps exactly how the teacher explains. Yeah.
This is low-key like cognitive behavior therapy that we do. This is pretty much like in alignment with that. We have another interesting question. What are the laws of nature that we can associate with the removing of fear using energy techniques?
Okay, so there are many laws of nature. If I understand your question well, there are different laws of nature that work with energy. Okay, now people may not know how they work, but they work. For example, the law of attraction. Again, I don't know if I understood your question correctly, but the law of attraction. So
It's perfect.
whatever thought we create, it attracts similar qualities. Okay, so usually, for example, when we have fear, we keep thinking about that fear. We can't, we think by thinking about the fear or even the solutions, but focusing on the fear, we are helping ourselves, but we are not. Because the more energy we put into the thoughts, based on the law of attraction, again, energy goes where the thought is. So the more we think about a certain thought, the more we are energizing it. And the more we are attracting similar energies, so the more we attract the same that situation. So if you are worried about something, let's say you are worried or you are afraid that you are going to be like you are going to have a problem at work and then you are going to get fired, for example. So the more we think about that, we keep attracting similar situation that lead to that. So that is, for example, the law of attraction working with fear. Now, what we need to do is focus on what we want to happen. And I have seen this several times. For example, many years ago, I remember I was driving together with a friend going to the Pranic Healing Center for meditation. So he was driving, he parked his car where there was no parking. So immediately I thought, and I told him, is this okay to park here? Because it's not a parking lot. They may fine you. And then he said, no, it's for years I'm parking here and nothing happened. So we went to the meditation center. We came back, there was a ticket. And then he told me like, it was your thought. And that's true, especially when we do a lot of meditation, a lot of spiritual practice, the thoughts that we create become very powerful. So the moment we think about them, we attract those kind of energies. So to use this law of nature in our benefit, whenever you think of something negative, you worry, you fear, create the opposite thought. Think about the opposite. Think about what you want to happen instead of what not to happen. Now, one more technique I forgot to share when you asked about other techniques except pranic psychotherapy. is chanting mantras. Okay, now a lot of people chant mantras. Of course, mantras, each mantra has a certain function. Some of the mantras, such as Om, such as Om Namah Shivaya, Om has a disintegrating effect. Some mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum can help to transmute lower emotions such as fear into love, compassion, and mercy. But even if you chant something that doesn't have any meaning, the act of chanting itself helps the mind to focus on the chanting, because our mind can only focus on one thought at a time. So instead of focusing on fear or on that thought form, we focus on the mantra, or we focus on, you know, Om or Om Mani Padme Hum or whatever mantra. Even if it doesn't mean anything, even if it's not an actual mantra, still helps to detach from the fear thought to another thought. That's why some people, when they start feeling negative, they play games or they go and drive outside, because this is a way to detach from that situation. Or some people watch a movie or go to the cinemas. This is just a way to detach the thought.
That is amazing. What are some of the benefits that you have noticed, since you yourself have used these techniques and overcome your fears? What are some benefits of, like, living without those fears? What are the most significant things?
There are a lot of benefits from physical health to success. So one thing is, again, whatever thought we create, it has an energy. So it affects our energy body. As we discussed, fear creates that gray thought, that gray energy, and that would affect our system, our chakras. If you keep creating such thought forms, we will get physically sick, actually. Like, for example, if a person has a lot of stress, that can lead to problems such as ulcer or high blood pressure. Having fear, phobia, worry also repeatedly can affect us physically. So removing fear, one of the benefits is good health. Another benefit is success, because again, fear is a protecting mechanism. So especially if you're doing something for the first time, we always experience fear. Why? Because our subconscious mind wants to prevent us from doing something which is unknown, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. We might embarrass ourselves, or it might be a situation where we get hurt or something. We don't know. It's unknown. So because of that, it creates such thought form of fear or worry, phobia. So we don't do something which is not done before. But the problem is, if we always stop ourselves from exploring, new opportunities, new, working place or environments, then there is no growth also. So removing fear, again, we are not advised to remove fear completely, but to control it so that we can decide logically. So having that fearlessness helps us also to achieve more success, because we explore new opportunities, new environments, new countries, and we can achieve greater success. It helps to have more confidence. You will be more visible. Like the fear I had, one of the effects it had on me was low self-confidence and shyness. So I remember in many situations when a question was asked, or in, let's say, a working environment, I had great ideas. So I couldn't share it because I was afraid of being judged, or, I was shy to even share it. So I would share it with my close friends. They would go and share it and they would get the benefit. They would get promoted, which I supposed to have. So things like that, it can help us even with success, with good health, with inner peace, with having even more experiences during meditation. So when we do meditation for our consciousness to expand and explore the inner world, fear and lower emotions are like weights. They will pull us down. So even to have inner peace or to have better inner experiences, We need to release these lower emotions from our system.
Thank you so very much. We have some questions that are coming in from our participants. So we have one question coming in about how to eradicate the fear ASAP for our clients. Many clients love to lean on the healer instead of steadily working on themselves through meditation, etc.
Sorry, could you repeat? How can we remove fear from our? You are muted. I'm sorry, you are muted. Or if I could read the
I'm
question.
so sorry. I didn't realize
Yes.
that. So how to eradicate the fear ASAP for our clients or our patients? Many
Clients.
clients love to lean on their healer instead of steadily working on themselves through meditation, etc.
Okay, so of course, if you know pranic psychotherapy, that is one of the ways that we could disintegrate fear from the clients. If you have not done pranic psychotherapy yet, even pranic healing itself, to a certain degree, could help to remove the lower emotions, especially if you have that intention in mind when you are cleaning, to clean such emotions as well. But also, you know, during the healing, we always talk to the person. So the healer is also like a counselor. You talk to them to understand why they have fear and what is the issue and how, so that we know how we can help them. Now, one of the things, as you are doing healing, as you are doing psychotherapy or pranic healing, even if they are not really willing yet to do meditation, so that they can actually maintain and remove fear from their own systems, helping them to face the fear and to make peace with it can help. For example, that is by slowly getting exposed to what they are, what make them afraid. For example, if someone has fear of airplanes, you know, riding on the plane. So as they're getting healing from you, you could also encourage them to start studying, for example, about traveling by airplane. And then one of the things they could do is to go actually to the airport, to be in that environment. So it's gradual exposure to what's making us afraid and gradually making peace with it. So all of this could work together with healing and not sudden exposure. Okay, it has to be gradual. First reading about it, then going to the airport, being exposed, things like that, gradually, slowly, so that they can accept. No, accepting is very important. Not accepting the problem, we can't eradicate it. First, we have to understand that, okay, I have this problem. Why? What can I do? Again, is this based on reality or is this based on imagination? And then what can be done to remove fear? And again, the affirmation also helps a lot, the I am affirmation. So you could actually give them the affirmation. You can give them a book, like they can purchase that book and continue reading the affirmation that I am, especially when the fear comes. That helps to detach from the fear.
Since you just mentioned this, I had like a question that came in. How do we tell differences between like intuitive warnings that we get and fear-based resistance? Like, how do you differentiate between the two feelings?
Okay, that first of all, whatever fear it is, whether it's based on reality or imagination, first we have to detach from the emotion. Because when we are detached, you know, when the emotional body is feeling that fear energy, is filled with that fear energy, we can't think clearly. The mental body is like paralyzed to a certain degree. So first we have to detach from that emotion. And for that, the affirmation of I am, or chanting a mantra, or whatever helps you. For me, I am affirmation is fantastic. When I chant it a few times and I repeatedly, you know, read it, it helps me to detach from that emotion. And once I'm detached, then I can look at it from a better perspective, especially when you read the I am affirmation, you are reciting that I am the soul. I am not all these bodies. So you start looking at the situation from the soul level, okay, not from the bodies, the perspective of the bodies. And then start thinking, asking question, why I have this emotion, whether it's fear or anything else. It works with other emotions as well. Why I have this emotion? What happened that lead to this emotion? And as you question yourself, you will realize. I give you an example. It happened to me several times. It might have happened to you as well. Like you're working and then suddenly you feel like I'm feeling sad, for example. So it happened to me previously. I used to feel the sadness and I continue being sad without knowing why I'm sad, because sometimes it's not even your thought. You may have picked it up from a colleague or from someone else. And then I would just feel miserable for days. But after learning Pranic Healing and after starting to work with it, now I remember there was a time I was working, I'm also architect by profession. So I was working as an architect and suddenly I started to feel sad. Then I stopped work and then I started thinking, why am I feeling sad? What happened? So I started to try to recall what happened. As I was thinking about it, I realized I read a message from someone. After that, I started to feel sad. Then I started to think about the message. Okay, now, what was the message? Is that message about me? Is that message important? Does it matter in 3 days, in 5 days, in a week, in a month, in a year? So I always try to study. And in 90% of the time, the answer is no. Maybe the person was angry at that time, she or he sent you a message and then you read it, you became sad. So if you don't really study that, if you don't try to recall, you stay sad because you don't know why, what was the reason, is it important, is it not? But to reach to that state, first we have to detach. So same with fear. Once you recite the affirmation, you detach yourself from that fear, then you start thinking, why am I feeling this fear? For example, is fear of financial problem. Then you start thinking, do I have a problem with finances? Because let's say in news, you may have read that this, because of tariffs, this may happen or that may happen. So a lot of people are having that fear. So by reading that piece of news, it might go to your head. You might also start having that fear. But when you start detaching and thinking about the fear you have, why you are having it, did something happen for you to develop that fear? Did you read something? Did you watch something? Did you hear something from someone? Then you can try to realize if it's really based on imagination or based on reality. What is it for? And then if you get such, messages a lot, after a while, you can also realize, you can somehow know if this is a message for me or if it is not. But it will take time to reach to that state.
We have another question about fear being able to create any major physical ailments. Are there any ailments that we know of that are associated with fear very specifically?
Well, there could be a lot of problems. So one of the things fear does is, fear is emotion, right? So lower emotions get lodged in certain chakras. So one of the chakras connected with lower emotions is the solar plexus chakra, front and back. So if we have a lot of fear and we accumulate a lot of fear, the solar plexus chakra gets affected, and then it will affect, first the neighboring chakras, including the heart, and then it can affect the throat, it can affect ajna, the chakras that are affected by that emotion. And once that happens, then ailments start to happen. Like could be, I don't know, problem with the heart, it could be things like that. But from the chakras that it affects, you can see what kind of ailments it could happen.
Got it. I have a follow-up question about that. What are some energetic symptoms or signs that fear is lodged in your system or in a particular chakra?
Well, with fear, it's very obvious. So if you have fear, you start thinking about that situation, because I have experienced it. I know when I had that phobia, I would feel palpitation again, because solar plexus gets activated, nearby chakra, the heart chakra gets activated. So the heart, I would feel heart palpitation, and then I would feel restless, no inner peace, and you start thinking about that situation. Like when I had fear of disease, I keep thinking about that disease. I keep thinking that I'm going to get this and die, and I couldn't sleep. So all of those things you experience. So it's not like a hidden, emotion that you don't know about. If you have experienced fear, you know that when that fear is the whole aura, your whole body is only thinking about that thoughts. And then unless you release it, you feel restless, you feel heart palpitation, very, very difficult. So by just being aware of your emotions, your thoughts, you will know if you have a certain fear or not, and then you can disintegrate it. And as we said, fear in general is not bad, it's a necessity. But when it becomes repeated, when it becomes phobia or trauma of something which is not a reality, imagination, like worry, for example, then there is a problem.
Got it. We have a question from another participant, which I think it kind of is poetic that we're coming to that section through our talk. So this is a fellow Pranic healer, and she says, I've been doing a lot of work on my fear. My fear is about a very specific issue, which is visa related. And she says, no matter how much I meditate or do the blue triangle, this fear has really taken over. And it's been affecting in many, many ways. I really need help. I have this fear because I have so many things on the line because of her visa issue. So how would we address this sort of a fear that is very realistic? What are some techniques that perhaps she could use to disentangle from this kind of a fear?
I'm sorry, for a short period of time, I lost you. Could you repeat
No
the
problem.
question?
Could you tell me where you lost me so I could tell you? So, or
A
let
fellow
me just
Pranic healer, which is about specific fear, but then I didn't get the rest.
got it. So she has a visa-related issue, and she's been doing her meditations and blue triangles pretty regularly, but the fear has really taken over. She's not able to get away from it because, like, the many other things are connected to her visa issue. So she wants to know how we could possibly use, energy techniques to help her kind of disentangle when the issue is so real.
Okay, so you see, like, visa issue could be a real issue, which is causing the fear. Now, again, by just thinking about the problem, it gets worse, but it's a real issue. So one of the things besides doing healing is after doing healing and after doing that soul affirmation, to get detached and start thinking what could be done, focusing on the solutions rather than a problem. So there is a visa issue. We can't do anything about it. Either we can do anything about it or we can't. If we can't do anything about it, the only thing we can do is just to bless and, relax, because there's nothing else we can do. There is a quote by Master Choa who is saying, if you can't do anything about the problem, just have it, take a cup of coffee and relax. I remember reading that in one of the Golden Lotus Sutras. But doing Kriya Shakti, doing blessing, and so on, when you can't do anything else physically, at least you're helping the situation, not focusing on the problem to make it worse. But then there are also things that you could do. For example, seeing a certain person, filing a certain, I don't know, document. I don't know exactly what the problem is. So, but it's a real problem. Again, we said we have to differentiate between a problem, between fear, which is based on imagination, and a fear which is based on reality. If it's based on reality, just doing healing and not doing anything will not help. We should start thinking about what are the possible solutions, what are the possible things that I can do to improve this situation. And then as you start doing it, you will see that you are opening up doors, and it will help you improve the situation. And then there is a situation that the problem is real, but you can't do anything about it. It's not in your hand. Then just blessing, praying, Kriya Shakti, only these things could help, because there is nothing actually else that you could do. But just remember that thinking about fear make it worse. So if you have done psychotherapy, if this person has done pranic psychotherapy, whenever the fear comes, try to use that whiteboard technique. I have practiced that, and that also, besides doing psychotherapy, is really, really helpful.
Thank you so much. We have another question coming in. What if from childhood you have fear to speak the truth because of the strictness of your parents? This becomes a fear in your career where you do not get valued as you would want to be. How do you resolve that?
Okay. One thing we discussed was whatever fear or problem, we have to face it, to recognize it, and to make peace with it, and then try to eradicate it or improve it. So it's good that you had this problem, but then it's gradually making peace with it, right? So you had that problem, you will do your psychotherapy, your techniques to remove the fear, but then slowly try to bring that into your life. For example, if someone asks a question and then you find yourself saying a lie because you don't want to say the truth, gradually, slowly try to, say it to your family, to the people who love you. Gradually practice it. And then it becomes easier to practice. Because we have to actually do something about it besides doing the healing. Bring it in your life, visualize you are doing it. One of the things that I practiced myself was visualize or make peace with the worst thing that can happen. Okay, like for example, when I was very shy and I was asked to talk in public, there's always fear that what if I say something wrong and then people start laughing at me and I get, ridiculed. So one thing that helped me was I try to think about it. Again, this might be a bit contradictory. It's not meditating on it, but just make peace with it. That, okay, let's say I say something wrong, people laugh, and then that's it. What is the worst thing that can happen is they will laugh at you at that time, and then they forget about it in a week, in a month, in a year. It doesn't matter anymore. So I'm okay with that. Then I was okay. So for some things like this, you can also try to make peace with what if you say the truth and one person get upset. In a week they will forget about it. In a month they will. It doesn't matter. When you think, in a certain period of time, after 1 year, doesn't matter. When you share that truth and one person got upset, but that was the truth and you had to share it, so it doesn't matter. When you make peace with the outcome, then it becomes easier to do it. Of course, we will do all of our energy techniques, healings, I am affirmation, everything. But practically, when you think about it, if I share this, what happens in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, and then you realize it's not important, then it won't really matter anymore that much to bother you.
We have a very interesting question that's come in. What karmic or soul level lessons are often tied to fear?
Okay, that really depends on what the fear is connected with. We shared one session before about how to stop unwanted repeated patterns, and then we discussed that there is a lesson to be learned connected with each of the virtues: loving kindness and non-injury, generosity, non-stealing, honesty, non-lying, accurate, constancy of aim and effort, and moderation, non-excessiveness. So in a bigger picture, so fear, what the fear is preventing you from doing, or the fear is related to what? When you start thinking about it in a bigger perspective, then it's easier to realize what issue or what karmic lesson you could have and what you could do in relation with, especially when we try to connect it with one of the virtues. Okay, for example, if you have fear of getting sick, okay, getting sick is connected with what virtue? Loving kindness and non-injury. Okay, now, what is the lesson to learn? Loving kindness and not injuring other people. So try to see fear, the fear that you are experiencing is connected with what? For example, what else? Is it related to fear of not having enough money? Okay, not having enough money is connected with what virtue? Generosity and non-stealing. Okay, now what is the lesson to learn? To be generous and not to steal. So to me, bringing it back, studying about it, being aware, and then bringing it back to one of the virtues and see, okay, this fear, this thought that I have is connected with what virtue? And then from the virtue, in the bigger picture, again, we will know what is the lesson to learn and what we need to do to stop that. That is, again, my point of view. You may have other points of view, but for me, the virtues is one of the best ways. So whatever problem you're facing, you can try to understand what virtue this is connected with. So then what is the lesson to learn is to follow that virtue.
Understood. That's a wonderful perspective. We have a couple of more questions. What to do when there is fear of applying the skills we have learned and we're not able to practice the skills that we have learned, not taking full benefits of our own learning?
Okay, that again is very broad. You should go a bit more deeper and understand, okay, what fear is connected with. Like, you have fear of practicing the skills. Why? Because of what? What it leads to. So we need to go, deeper and deeper and deeper. Then it's easier to stop it. For example, one person might have fear of practicing because of low self-esteem, because you think I don't deserve to practice these teachings and to have whatever I want in my life. I mean, the deeper issue, like whatever is in that fear. One person may have fear of practicing because of wrong belief that when I'm doing healing on other people, I'm taking their karma, so it's come back to me. There are a lot of wrong beliefs and ideas about even doing healing. There are so many people who think when we heal someone, we are taking their karma, but this is not the truth. This is not correct. So first you need to think and understand your fear of not practicing is connected with what? Why? What do you mean by I have fear of practicing the skills? And then once you know exactly what the fear is, then you can eradicate it either by studying about it, by getting yourself educated, or by practicing certain techniques such as the I am affirmation, the mantras, the meditation. The good thing about meditation, Twin Hearts, is that when we do the meditation, when divine energy comes down, it disintegrates whatever negative thoughts and emotions in the aura, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you know the reason or not. It gradually disintegrates everything and transmute them into higher emotions such as love, peace, stillness, and so on. So just practicing Twin Hearts full-heartedly, not mechanically, but actually focusing on every step, doing it with awareness, especially if you do it in a group, gradually it helps to release whatever thought forms. But of course, some of the thought forms are very deep and very strong, so you need other techniques such as pranic psychotherapy.
Got it. Thank you so much. Another question was, how do we work on solar plexus? Assuming this is from somebody that is not a pranic healer, how would we give them some advice, something for them to take home and use when they have to deal with fear?
Okay, so the techniques, we can't really share the techniques you learn in workshops here. One of, pranic healing is a fantastic method. My suggestion, of course, to everyone is at least learn basic pranic healing, the first level, pranic healing level 1. And there you will learn a lot of techniques to scan the chakras, to clean the chakras, to transmute the energies using the techniques. But without learning that, one of the simple techniques is the meditation twin hearts. It gradually helps to release whatever thought forms from your chakras, including the solar plexus, and it's available in the Global Pranic Healing website. There is a video and it's available to everyone, even free of charge. You just need to do some exercise before and after. And then you go to any pranic healing center, they always have meditation nights, and healing nights. You can actually join for healing nights, let them work on you. Once you get better, you learn, because learning is something else.
Absolutely. So we would like to open up for questions in case somebody would like. You may please put up your hand. We will request you to turn on your video and help you unmute. Any questions? All right. I think we don't have any questions from the people that are participating. Thank you so very much, Dr. Hengameh. We are so fortunate that we were able to have you come here, give us some guidance. Thank you so very much. Also to all the back-end team of the Wisdom of the Arhat. Thank you so very much. If you would like to share something, Dr. Hengameh, we would love for you to like.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you and to Wisdom of the Arhat and everyone who was involved in doing this, and to everyone who joined. Thank you so much for joining the session. And if you are new to pranic healing, I always recommend experiencing it and then joining the basic pranic healing workshop at least, because taking healing from others is like getting fish, but learning it is like learning fishing. So you can take care of yourself and other people and your family. And that is truly, truly valuable teachings by Master Chua Kok Sui. So thank you so much again. Thank you for having me.
We would like for you to also do the closing invocation if you could.
Of course, thank you. So everyone, please put your two hands in a namaste position on your heart. Feel the gratitude, feel the love towards God and all the higher beings, our teacher, your teacher, for being here. Mentally say to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our spiritual teacher, to Master Chua Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, to all the great, great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Thank you so much for all of your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, and divine power, for guidance, help, and protection. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly, be aware of your whole body. And when you're comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you so much again. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Henga.
Thank
Thanks to
you.
everyone who took out the time to be here. We hope you have a great weekend. Please take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.